chance to get together for a little Monday practice. I have a few props if you want to press pause and grab some stuff. We're going to finish with a restorative bridge. Our emphasis is going to be low back, areas that we all might be really tight right now. So we're going to finish with a restorative bridge. A lot of times we'll do that with a block. If you don't have a block or something that reminds you of it at home, some other options could be if you have kind of like a firm pillow. A lot of people have like lumbar cushions and things like that. Something like that would be fine. Or you could do a thick book, or if you want to grab a couple of books, that would be fine too. I also have my mat strap, something small for just a half bow if you choose to use it. You don't have to. And if you are someone, I'm practicing on a hard floor, so I like to add a little extra layer when I'm on my knees sometimes. So I have just a thin little blanket. You could also use that same pillow or roll your mat double. You can make it work. If you're on a soft floor, it may not even be an issue for you. So we're gonna let that be our emphasis. I have to be honest. I think we are 5 weeks into quarantine, and my low back has been pretty tight. So as you watch this, if you go, wow, she has very little mobility in her back right now, that is why. So don't feel that you're limited to only move in the range of motion that I do. That tends to be a tight area for me anyway, but I'm not going to allow my own insecurities to keep you from getting the benefits of some great poses. So that is what we're going to focus on today. So let's just take a moment, find our mat. If you want to pause and grab your props, turn on some music, whatever works for you. When you come into a nice standing mountain, take a moment to align the feet under those hip bones and just start to activate through the body, spreading the toes wide, anchoring down through our foundation, through our feet, finding that stability. And then allowing the knees to soften, check in with our hips here. Maybe a little bit of shifting side to side, front to back. It's going to help to awaken that low back area as well. Engage the core if we can. We'll roll those shoulders back. Try to melt them down the spine. And letting the hands come wherever we feel the most natural. If it feels good to rotate those shoulders open, let the palms lift toward the sky. Try to find space and length through the neck as we lift up through the crown of the head. And we will try to find just some deep belly breaths here. If you like to place your hand on your belly to feel that, I like to use the balloon visualization. Imagine as you inhale, you blow that belly out like a balloon. As you exhale, we contract those core muscles to draw it back in. Core strength is a big part of protecting that low back. And for a lot of us, it's simply we have been sedentary is why our low back might be tight, but it can also be if we've been doing unusual activities, we've been really working around the house. Some of us get hyperactive when we are stuck. So maybe you've taken on a few new projects. So we're just gonna give ourselves the chance to kind of work that out. We'll take one more big belly breath here. Exhale and let that go. And then just let our breath return to its natural state for a moment. If it feels okay, we'll let the right ear fall to the right shoulder and then left to left. A little bit of small movements here, testing the waters. And then we'll bring our gaze back to a neutral position. Turn to look over the right shoulder. Back to center. Turn to look over the left. Back to center again. Let chin fall to chest. Bring the gaze to neutral and then bringing the gaze toward the sky. So see how that feels as well. We'll do some heart openers, and as we do, we just want to make sure as we lift the chin up that we can still find the breath. And then we'll bring the gaze into a neutral position. We're going to step the feet out. You might find a little shorter stance here because we're just starting to find warmth. Roll the shoulders back and down. Anchor into the feet, and we're gently going to bend the knees, just kind of start to check in. See how we're feeling. Invite space into the hips, and then as we inhale, we'll lift up. As we exhale, we gently melt through the knees. So use that strong core to keep the spine neutral. And then we'll take this into some moonflowers if it feels okay. So as we inhale, arms sweep up. As we exhale, elbows draw together. Shoulder blades scoop down the spine. Starting to feel that warmth work its way into the entire body here. We'll meet at the bottom and we'll just take a moment to kind of hold here, test the waters, create a little fire, a little space through the hips and the glutes. And then as we inhale, arms sweep up. Option to add a very small, very subtle back bend here. So we keep the lower body nice and still. And we're just gently opening the heart to the sky. Palms might reach back a little bit. And remembering again, if we tilt the chin up, we just want to be able to find the breath. Do that for one more big breath. And then as we exhale, making our way back to that moonflower flow. Meeting at the top. As we exhale, hands come down. Legs stay long, but knees are soft. We'll just hinge forward into a half fold. Checking in here, trying to actively engage the entire feet. So keeping the weight into all four corners. That keeps the back of the legs nice and active. And then with an inhale, we make our way back to a standing position. Flowing into a nice easy stance, warrior two here. I'm gonna turn my left toes toward the short edge. Do the same or the opposite. Let that left knee bend and draw that left knee toward the pinky toe. Right toes stay just like they are. Right knee is soft. If it feels okay, arms can come long. Maybe lift the shoulders up and then melt them down to find that neutral. And you can let your gaze go wherever you feel most comfortable. Maybe turning to look over the left fingers. Just keeping it out in front. Very gentle reverse warrior as the right hand drops back, the left arm reaches. Just think about creating space from the left fingertips all the way down through the hip. And then a nice easy side angle. So we can rest the left forearm on the front thigh. Just remember we're not hanging out there, we're resting. And right arm can reach long. So creating as much space as we can in the right side of the body. And then we'll make our way back to warrior two. Opening this up, coming back into our moonflower flow, or perhaps deciding to add a gentle hinge in the low back. We'll make our way into sunflowers. So as the knees bend, we fold at the waist. And then we'll make our way back to a standing position. Let the right toes bend, turn towards that short edge. Knee draws toward the pinky toe. Link through that back leg, but nice soft knee. And we can add those arms in again, maybe lifting and then melting. Let the gaze go out in front if it feels okay. And then a gentle reverse warrior. Left hand relaxes, right arm reaches, opening through the right rib cage. And then into that side angle. Right arm comes gently to rest on the front thigh. Left arm reaches tall, big long line. Breathe into that space. If you notice tension, if you notice tightness, try to send the breath there. And we'll make our way back out of this. Return to warrior two for a moment. And then open up back to that long edge. Hinging forward again. As we come into that half fold, resting hands on the legs or if they want to come to the floor. And then choosing here if we'd like to stay in this half fold or if we want to melt a little deeper, maybe walk the feet apart. Some of us warm more quickly than others. Some of us are simply not as tight right now as others. That's fine. Your practice. Take one more breath here, and then again, moving our way out of the pose, coming back into a standing position with heel toe the feet together enough. Can move into a gentle flow here. With an inhale, we'll lift the arms tall. Exhale as we sink to chair. Check that we can see the toes. Knees are continuing to stay aligned with hips and heels. Arms can rest or extend. Maybe going up onto the balls of the feet. Little balance challenge for a moment. Melting back down. Inhale tall. Exhale as we swan dive to forward fold. Hinging at the hips so we find that low back protection. Maybe acknowledging here hamstrings are a little tight, which is going to do a lot to affect tightness in that low back. And then inhale tall, big sweeping breath. Exhale to our chair. Option to balance for a moment. Melting down. Inhale mountain. Swan dive forward fold. We'll add a little twist here, just letting the right knee bend slightly. Hands walk around to the left. Back to center. Left knee bends slightly, hands walk to the right. Back to center again. Inhale as we sweep up. Exhale as we come to chair. Option to balance. And then melting and releasing. Inhale, both arms up, big sweeping breath. We can come into a little open heart here as well as we reach the fingers toward the sky and then maybe opening them back slightly. So as we find space through that low back, we keep the tailbone tucked down and we continue to try to drive those hips into the earth right over the feet. See if we can relax the shoulders a bit. And then we'll make our way back into a neutral spine, arms sweep up. Exhale as we swan dive to forward fold. This is where if you want something soft for your knees or that extra layer, we are going to move into a little bit of knee work here. So we'll make our way to an all fours position first. Option 2, slide that layer under the knees, protect the hands or wrists, however you need to. Making our way into our cat pose. And then flowing into our cow. And moving between the two. So inviting as much space as we can into the entire spine here. Seeing where we might feel tightness. We'll finish with a cow. Test the waters, see how we're feeling. And then coming into a neutral spine, making our way to our spinal balance. So we'll start just by bringing the right toes back, pressing the heel away, finding a nice stretch, relaxing the leg for a moment, and then again, pressing the heel away. We can stay here and join this stretch. We can lift that right heel to about hip height. And we have the option of adding in that left arm. As we exhale, we come down knowing arms or legs are one of the great ways to modify this pose. Left toes come back. Again, press the heel away, gentle release, and then press the heel away again. Option to lift the leg, option to add that right arm. Then we'll release that, and we're just gonna flow this. So on our inhale, we lift one side. On our exhale, we lower it back down. You can choose arms, choose legs, choose to move between the two. And then we are going to simply test the waters here with that low back. So finish with probably your left leg long or your right arm extended. Make our way into a neutral spine. And we'll bring the right leg back. We'll hold here. Left arm can reach forward, or we can go ahead and bend at the left knee, or bend at the right knee, reach the left arm around. Maybe the hand and the foot meet, maybe they don't. It's okay either way. Use that core strength as we rest just on two parts of the body. And then we'll release that. If they did reach, long stretch, come to neutral. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side if we would like. So left leg can come back or just stretch. Right arm forward. Option to reach the two towards each other. Adding a gentle stretch if it feels okay. Lowering that down, finding length for just a moment, and then we'll come into child's pose. So countering any stretch that we did get there, take a moment to hang out, find the breath, tune in, and then making our way completely forward onto our bellies. So pressing up and lowering. We are going to come into a little bit of swimming here. So a little work, little stretch for the low back. This is one where I just don't have a ton of mobility. So if you're able to lift higher and not create pain or discomfort, just focus on that alignment, totally fine. We keep our tailbone pressed into the earth to protect that low back. So remember, that's a big part of our alignment here. And we're trying to keep our neck in a pretty nice line with our upper back. So we don't want to torque anything up. We just kind of want to keep our gaze wherever is natural. As we lift, that might change. So we are going to move just through some little baby cobra push-ups here. So as we inhale, we try to have little to no weight in the hands. We'll lift slightly. And as we exhale, we lower down. You can lower all the way if you want, or just most of the way. So just kind of flowing through this. Inhale as we lift, exhale as we lower. Tailbone is pressed firmly into the floor. And then we'll meet in our baby cobra. Take a breath or two here. And then coming into some swimming. So arms come along in front. What we'll do is start with our arms, then do our legs, and then incorporate the two. So if you want to go ahead and incorporate them early, if you're feeling really good about adding that, feel free to go ahead and do that. So as I lift my right arm, my head will just follow slightly because my spine does. I'll lower it down on an exhale, and then I'll inhale to lift my left arm. Then I'm going to switch to legs. So I'm going to lift my left leg, lower it down, and then lift my right leg. I usually lift on an inhale, release on an exhale. If you don't do that, it'll be okay. So then if we want to combine the two, as we lift, right arm and left leg come up. As we lower, we release, and then lift the opposite side. So we'll do this a few times. Move at a pace that works for you. Remembering the goal isn't necessarily to lift high, it's to find length and space through the spine, and just inviting some movement into the low back. Tailbone continues to stay plugged in. So go ahead and do one more on each side. Again, finishing evenly. So I'm going to finish left arm, right leg, and then we'll slide hands under shoulders, press up, come back, melt into child's pose again. And then on an inhale, returning to an all fours position. And we're going to do some lower lunges if you want that extra layer under your knee. I'm going to keep my right knee down for now. And draw my left foot through. It might take a little shuffling to get it there. That can be attributed to low back tightness as well. Just checking that our left knee stays behind that ankle or above that ankle. So shifting our weight if we need to. Kind of check in, see how we're feeling. If we'd like to stay nice and low here and enjoy that stretch, we can. We can walk ourselves up, find a little length and space. We can add some arms, or we could come into a gentle chest expansion. So continuing to fire that tailbone down, hands come to interlace or just to hold on to each other behind the low back. And as the shoulders and the chest open, we can bring the gaze up slightly. We'll release whatever we're doing here and come into a twist. So if we're low, we'll just let that right hand stay down. Left hand can rest on the knee or lift. If you're already in an elevated position, you can use the hands to rest on the leg, come into heart center, maybe reach long, you get to decide. Make our way back down if we are lifted at all. And then left knee comes back. So what we're gonna do here is take a moment to rest, child's pose, down puppy or down dog. And then we are going to switch sides. So left knee will rest on that extra layer if we're using it. Right leg comes through. Check that alignment again. Take a moment to just find stillness, find the breath. This might feel great. You might want to hang out here for a really long time. Nice way to stretch the hip flexor. Mine are super tight right now as well. And then we have that option. We can lift, we can rest. Arms can reach tall. We can come into some chest expansion, letting the hands come together, melting them down. Option to lift the heart to the sky. Make sure we can breathe. And then as we release, we'll come into whatever version of the twist we'd like. If we're elevated, arms can come wide, hands can come to rest on the leg. If we're lowered or we'd like to lower, left hand comes down, right arm can reach. And then again, lowering if we're not already there. Nice breath here. And then right knee comes back, child's pose, down puppy, or down dog. And then we'll make our way back to an all fours position. We're gonna come into our cat and cow again. Such a great way to find space in the spine. We'll hold there for a few breaths. So tucking into our cat, inviting our crown to lower to the floor, our tailbone to tuck in. And just imagine you can feel those vertebrae separate, create space. And then slowly, starting with our tailbone, we lift it toward the sky. We let the belly fall. We draw the shoulders back and down. Open the heart. Bring the gaze out in front. Back to neutral. And then one more nice deep heart opener here. I am going to practice camel on my knees. Another variation for this is just to go to a standing position. And what that does is protects our knees. For those of us that have any sort of knee issues, same idea. We want our hips over our knees, whether we're on the floor or we are standing. So if you notice your hips wanting to shift back or pop forward, that was my knee, or pop forward, then we try to keep those nice and level. So we'll draw the shoulders back, tuck that tailbone down, start just by bringing the fist into the bony part of the low back, draw the elbows together, and we can bring the gaze up, again, making sure we can find our breath here. And just enjoying space here. And then we'll gently release that. If we are standing, go ahead and make your way back to the floor, coming to rest in child's pose to counter that camel. And then we're going to press up, make our way to seated, sweep around, and we'll add that option to come into a little core work. We're going to roll down from here, so whatever prop you would like to use for your restorative bridge, go ahead and grab that, have it close by. And we are going to just gently roll back. If you prefer to move through a boat and roll back from there, it's another nice option. So we'll walk the feet in, pressing into the floor. And as you're ready, on an inhale, we bridge up. We make our way into that restorative bridge, lowering onto the block, melting down. Kind of just test the waters. See how it feels. Melt the shoulders. Find that release. So we're going to enjoy this again and let it be our option for Shavasana. We're going to add our little half bow here. So as we inhale, we'll lift. We'll lower down. So I'll give you a couple options. Bow is a nice way to stretch, but if you prefer to just kind of find some stillness, maybe moving into a gentle ball, rocking side to side, find what works here. If you do want to practice half bow, what we're going to do is grab our strap if we need it. You may decide just to grab for your pant leg or not even grab it all. We're going to roll to one side. Upper body is nice and strong and secure. And whatever leg you have on top, I've got my right leg on top, we can bring the strap around that. We're going to bend that knee so it's even with our other knee. And then we just use either the strap or you could use your hand. We're just going to draw that leg back and behind. So if we need to keep the knees level just to create a feeling that doesn't bring in any pain, we have that option. If it feels okay to draw it back a little bit, you can. And then we'll release that. We're going to switch sides, so if you want to roll into your belly and then onto the opposite side, you can. I'm going to actually just get up and move because that way I still face the camera. So coming onto the opposite side. And as we lift, you keep the knees together to start. Reach back for that ankle. You could also grab your pant leg. And then if we want to move into that space, we can. Definitely noticing here how it feels different from one side to the other. A lot of our activities are one side dominant, so it's important to be aware of postural indifference. And we'll release that. And then we're going to roll onto our back and make our way into Shavasana, which might be that restorative bridge again. If you do practice that and it feels good to get the space in the low back, you can play with other options such as walking the legs out a little bit, kind of see how that feels. Or you can come to rest in corpse pose. Or if you are more comfortable seated or lying on your belly or side, finding that. And taking a few breaths here to focus again on that balloon, deep belly breath. So as we inhale, we expand. As we exhale, we draw it back in. So if we want to stay here for a while, just press pause. Stay here as long as you would like. If you are ready to make your way out of the pose, we'll come into a seated position, however is easiest for you to get there. And finding the position that works best for you. Take a moment to sit up tall, kind of acknowledge how your body is feeling in this moment. We'll fold the hands into the heart and closing our practice with Namaste.